GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS Sprint Cup kicks off this weekend. We're in the UK. We're in the sunshine, we're at Brands Hatch, and it's the fabulous Grand Prix circuit on which the teams will kick off the season with two one-hour races. We have a 30-strong grid. We've got 14 drivers new to Sprint Cup, and they're all wide-eyed about this fantastic circuit that used to play host to the British Grand Prix. It's an old-school circuit. It's a really challenging circuit. Make a mistake around here, and it will bite. The races, of course, have mandatory pit stops, and in qualifying yesterday, the teams really did have to be on their toes to make sure they got the cars out in clear track space. Qualifying is vital. And in Pro, Mercedes looking good for good, strong results this weekend, such as the Boutsen VDS car number 9, driven by Maxime Martin.
So for sure, my expectations for this weekend is to try to be on top. We are here to compete. We are here to try to win races. We had a difficult start in Paul Ricard, but like I say, it's the first race in the sprint series, so all new. So the focus is to be on the podium.
Ferraris looked really good yesterday across all sessions, and the Emile Frey racing car of Ben Green, one to watch.
I absolutely love driving Brands Hatch. You really feel the elevation change through turn one, and driving on the GP circuit is quite a rare occurrence. We only get to drive on it once or twice a year, so it's a real great pleasure, especially in the Ferrari. It's a track where I've had a lot of success before, and I've really enjoyed being with my teammate Consta Lapalainen. We come back here together after finishing third in the championship last year with an ambition to do even better this year.
WRT has had 7 wins at Brands Hatch in Audi and BMW iterations. Struggling for pace yesterday, though, was Charles Weerts.
Expectations are definitely running quite high after we won this championship for 3 times already. We know every race is extremely important. We cannot allow one single bad weekend, so we have to start off straight away in the right window. Indeed, Dries is now driving more in the MDH and has therefore less time for GT, but I'm very lucky that I've got Kelvin taking his place, which I know is an incredible driver, very, very fast, very reliable also, and with whom I have a great relationship too. So hopefully together we can have a great season.
12 months ago, Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel won at Brands Hatch. They went on to win the Sprint Cup Championship and the overall title as well. What can they do here this weekend for Mercedes AMG?
So I'm very happy to be back in Brands Hatch. Last year we had a super successful weekend here, starting straight away with a win. And especially also coming from Paul Ricard, we're starting the GT World Challenge Championship with a P4. It was a great start. But now I'm really looking forward to Brands Hatch. I think we have a nice weather, we have a super car, and I'm looking forward to tackle this track with Mauro.
It's really good to see Barwell in Sprint Cup and with a car in the Pro category. Hugo Cook will share it with Lamborghini factory driver Sandy Mitchell.
Brands Hatch is a great old school circuit. There's loads of fast corners, especially the GP loop. It's almost like going back in time once you turn left going through Surtees. So yeah, I think a lot of drivers come over from Europe and really enjoy the circuit. So yeah, qualifying's really intense. You know, hot lapping around here for 4 or 5 laps as fast as you can is yeah, it's impressive if you can be up the front. So we'll see what we can do.
McLaren's went well at Paul Ricard in the Endurance Cup opener. Brands Hatch and Sprint rather different. Keep an eye though on Adam Smalling.
Yeah, it's nice to be a British driver in a British car with a British team at a British circuit in the sunshine. Yeah, what better of a weekend. So first sort of season in GT World Challenge Sprint. I did Endurance last year with Garage 59, so I know how the team operate. We were here last year also for British GT, so the track is familiar to me. I mean, you'd hope so with me being British, but it's a track that I really enjoy. I won here in junior categories like Ginetta Juniors, the GT4 Super Cup, and also Carrera Cup. So yeah, it's a track that has a good place in my heart, let's say, where I've won a few championships. So yeah, hopefully this weekend we can have a good one. Yeah, bring it on.
Chris Lulham has come from some circuit racing background, but mainly esports, in which he's been a real star. And in qualifying yesterday, he was outstanding to go second.
We had our debut at Paul Ricard a few weeks ago, finished second in the Gold class, being 9 overall. So no, it was very solid, the team did a good job there. But now we come to the first round of the Sprint Cup, where we aim to be fighting again at the front. Well, we hope so. I think we should be. The car's looking good, and it was competitive last year. But it's my first time on the Brands GP loop, which is definitely an unforgiving track with a lot of history. Coming from the world of sim racing, this is going to be a big step, and I'm looking forward to getting started.
British driver James Kell is another man to watch in a McLaren, but for the French CSA racing team. And he was another driver that went really well in the Endurance Cup opener at Paul Ricard, and he's looking for points here this weekend.
first time really competing in sprint for me, just a one-off round as the car is a bronze entry for the rest of the year. But I'm excited to see what we can do as a team. New car for the team as well this year, moving from Audi to McLaren, and myself moving to the team. Been progressing throughout the last few years in GT World Challenge Endurance. We're in 2023 moving from Volkenhorst to Get Speed last year, bronze to silver, and now in gold class. And we had a successful Paul Ricard last weekend out as well with endurance, with a win, and hopefully we can carry that forward into this weekend and see how we do.
The Silver Cup caters for silver-graded drivers. In other words, the GT stars of the future. And Jeff Machiels is back for another season aboard a Ferrari 296 GT3 and should go well here this weekend.
Very excited to be back here in Brands, together with my new teammate as well. We had some nice testings here in Brands with Radical to know the track a little bit, because we don't have much experience. It will be my second time only here, even the second time racing in the UK. But I like it to be here because of the people around the track. It's super nice because it feels like the racing is inside their blood. They come to support us, and it's really nice to see all the fans being excited that we are here. So I really love it to be here with my new teammate. I'm very excited to see what we can do.
And for the Rutronic Racing Porsche team, another of the newcomers, Isham Pires makes his Sprint Cup debut, his European racing debut in the Porsche 911 GT3R.
So it's my first full season in Europe, it's my first time here in the UK, it's also my first time here racing at Brands Hatch. So this track is actually a little bit special to me. My dad was here many years ago. He used to race here in Austin Healey's Pride, so this track is quite sentimental for me. I'm really looking forward to taking on the weekend. It's a new team, and all the tracks this year will be new with GT World Challenge, but really excited.
The grid here at Brands Hatch will be getting very busy indeed now. Cars making their way into position. They have had the lap round from the pit lane. The build-up begins, and then we look forward to the first 1 hour race of the Sprint Cup season. The next stop, incidentally, in 2 weeks' time at Zandvoort. And if you enjoy what you watch today, then do come and join us, because Zandvoort's another cracking circuit, and 2 1 hour sprint races there in 2 weeks' time by the seaside. Big crowd here as well, which is great to see. Busy bank holiday weekend of not just motorsport, but all sorts of activities across the UK. But the fans have been here from very early doors this morning. The South Bank has been getting busier and busier all around the Indy circuit, plus quite a few out on the Grand Prix loop as well. Cameras trained, and the GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS Sprint Cup, I think is going to be set for an absolutely storming start when we go racing in just a short while. Don't forget that Sprint Cup forms part of GT World Challenge Europe, as does the Endurance Cup, and that kicked off at Paul Ricard in early April. It was a monster grid of 59 cars and a 6 hour race as well. We had 10 different brands represented on the grid, and it had been Mercedes AMG that took pole position. It was the Mercedes from pole that led early on, but with battles raging further down and 1 or 2 of the midfield runners in strife, gradually the lead battle evolved to be Porsche versus Lamborghini. The Mercedes AMG fell back a little bit, but after the first round of pit stops and darkness started to descend upon the circuit, it was Team WRT's BMW that was starting to look the stronger car. The Porsches, and indeed the Mercedes AMG, a little bit breathless in comparison. So through it all came those masters of endurance racing, Team WRT, and the new driver combination of Charles Weerts, Hugo de Wilde and Kelvin van der Linde triumphing in the first race of the season. With it being a 6 hour race, there were more points on offer as well, and that has teed up the squad really nicely in the Endurance Cup Championship. Now, GT World Challenge Europe joins World Challenge in America, Australia and Asia as part of that global GT World Challenge, where the manufacturers score points across all of those different regions. In Asia, for example, we have Porsche and Corvette winning first time out. In Australia, there have been successes for Audi and Ferrari, while in the USA, it was Mercedes and BMW victorious at Sonoma. And when the series moved to COTA in Texas, the racing was as fierce as you will find anywhere around the globe. It was a Corvette win in race 1. Mercedes triumphed in race 2, but there were some fabulous battles along the way. in America, in Australia, in Asia, just as in Europe. The grids are strong, the racing is fantastic, and there's a great representation of the different brands in GT3 racing. And that's certainly proving that GT World Challenge is set for a really strong and competitive season. And just to illustrate that GT World Challenge never sleeps, there's been racing already this weekend in Australia. And there, a second win of the season for Ferrari. Jackson Evans and Elliott Schutter taking honours in Sydney. And of course, it was a race under the floodlights, making that special magic of nighttime sports car racing even more pronounced. We've got a Ferrari on pole position here in Europe for race 1. Ferrari celebrating a win in Australia. In other words, this could be a really good weekend for the prancing horse to gain huge numbers of points for that global competition for the manufacturers in GT World Challenge. A great start to the weekend for Ferrari. Indeed, it's been a great start to the year for GT3 racing across the globe in GT World Challenge. And so if you take the points from Australia's first race overnight, it is Mercedes-AMG ahead in the Manufacturer Cup in GT World Challenge from BMW M. Porsche third, Ferrari fourth. That could change today. They could gain bagfuls of points. Audi fifth, Mercedes-AMG then ahead. But it's not a massive margin, and BMW you rule out at your peril. So here at Brands Hatch then, we are looking forward to two really good races, and the grid is getting very busy as I speak. Not just the grid busy, but also off track. We've had a lot of effort put in, as ever, at Brands Hatch by the venue owners' Motorsport Vision to attract lots of supercars, lots of car clubs, and that in turn has brought the fans out. They're a little bit tricked at the moment, knowing whether to look at the track or look at the supercars that are parked track side. Drivers have been busy this morning as well with the pit walkabout that was at 9 o'clock, and absolutely rammed it was. All the drivers out, signing away, and the fans enjoying the weather, enjoying the atmosphere down in the pits. They have now gone trackside and getting ready for the first race. It means the drivers, the teams, can now concentrate on the serious business, getting ready for the first 1 hour race. And very much a sprint it will be. They're looking down onto the grid. You can see pole position 2, Thierry Vermeulen's Ferrari, lining up alongside Alessio Rovera. Bryn Lucas down on the grid. We'll hear from Bryn shortly. David Addison and Joe Osborne trackside. And Joe, what a track this is.
Yeah, I think it's the best in the country, in the UK, and it's an honour to have GT World Challenge Sprint here. Just under 4 kilometres in length, 9 corners, a real fast-flowing second section. You can see Hawthorns turn 5 and 6, and then the Indy track that we mix into at the start of the lap. Track limit's big issue there. Gravel traps are close, and the walls feel even closer than that. It's a real old-school circuit that all the drivers love.
Now, pole position 2, Thierry Vermeulen. It's also pole position in gold, not just overall. Great effort yesterday by the Ferrari driver, Thierry Vermeulen, on the grid with Bryn Lucas.
Well, Thierry, first of all, a mega lap you put in for yourself and for your teammate in qualifying yesterday. You're used to jumping between the Aston and the Ferrari behind us. What are you doing with Chris to get yourselves through this race? Because Chris has raced here never before, but he has now had a couple of times around with practice. So it's a fairly new circuit for him. You've been here before. The onus is on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it already starts in the winter. We worked closely together, and from the beginning he's been extremely fast, but for sure coming to a track like this, with a new team, your first season, it was really nice to work together, even like sharing some ideas before qualifying, and yeah, he's done an amazing job.
And your ideas worked. Well done. Good luck.
Thierry Vermeulen, whose father is Max Verstappen's manager. Now, this car, the Ford Mustang, sounds great, didn't make qualifying, and is on the penultimate row of the grid. Why did it not do qualifying? Why does it start near the back of the grid? Well, it had an off in the hands of Romain Andriola yesterday. And Joe, it was all going wrong up here at paddock.
Yeah, the driver emitted slightly too late on the brakes, and that's what I'm talking about. The walls are close, and that was still a large impact. The car actually nearly rolled. You'll see here from the slow-mo exterior shot, the gravel trap is slowing the car down, but these are fast cars. Apex speed of 160 kilometers an hour through Paddock Hill, turn 1 here, and if you get it wrong, the margins are too fine to get away with it. And watch this impact. Now you can see the barrier move. It's actually lost us, didn't it? The last part of pre-qualifying yesterday, so close to tipping over, but great job by HRT there to repair that car overnight, and it's looking A-OK.
Now, behind the Mustang are two of the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghinis that they ran the wrong balance of performance yesterday in qualifying, so they've been excluded from both qualifying sessions. That really does put them on the back foot. Let's get back down to the grid. Marvin Kirchhofer, I think, now with Bryn.
Well, Marvin, here we are, the only non-Ferrari in the top 4, so that's decent for you, starting P3 there. What's the difference between the way this car handles and the Ferrari, and how hard is it going to be when you've got the 3 prancing horses around you?
I mean, they look very competitive in the first sector, which usually should be sector we should be very strong as well. To be honest, we struggled a bit yesterday. The car's moving a lot around over the bumps, so I hope we did some good improvements today that should help during the race and maybe force them into an arrow. You know, it comes down to the pit stop, so yeah, that would be the exciting part.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And what Marvin Kirchhofer says about the pit stops, Joe, is absolutely right, because here they are natural pit stops. They're not done to a time, a pit in to pit out requirement. It is a natural pit stop, and you can win or lose races.
Yeah, exactly. And the drivers come in, they do a driver change. All 4 tyres have to be changed by only 2 mechanics using 1 wheel gun. The fastest teams can do that in 17 seconds. But any time lost is time that you've got to find back on track. And as a driver, that's hard to impossible in a 1-hour sprint race.
You're looking down there at last year's Sprint Cup and indeed overall champions, Mauro Engel with his back to you, Lucas Auer in the yellow overalls. This happened yesterday. Mauro Engel was trying to have the mirror adjusted, and eventually, as the mechanic found it kept pinging back on him, he kept on trying, and he kept on trying, and eventually it broke. Now, apparently in Germany, a broken mirror is good luck. Mauro Engel then went out and put the car on pole position, so you'd kind of go along with that theory. Let us go back down to the grid. Hugo Cook, part of an all-British lineup in the Barwell Lamborghini with Sandy Mitchell, and Hugo Cook can offer his thoughts before he goes racing to Bryn Lucas.
Well, Hugo, you've got everyone looking at you because yourself and Sandy, full British lineup here at Brands Hatch for the season opener.
Yeah, it's been really good so far. It's really good to be a, stacked grid. So yeah, so far so good. Yeah, of course. But no, I think we had a solid qualifying, especially on Sandy's side, and yeah, let's just try and move forwards if we can.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hugo Cook comes from Northwich, just down the road from Alton Park. His father Peter, you might recall, 2 decades or so ago, raced Porsches in GT events. There, looking down to the grid, is the Ben Green Conte-Lapalainen Ferrari. Ben Green getting his distinctive silver crash helmet on. Winners at Hockenheim last year. Ben very, very quick. Fits nicely into that team as well. He and Conte-Lapalainen have made a good partnership.
Yeah, they were seriously quick in the free practices. Obviously, teammate is on pole, so that's the worst thing that can happen to you is that the sister car is half a second up the road on you. But starting P6, they've still got a good chance from there. And that's really the first row, I would say. Row 3, when you're on the outside here at Brands, you've got the opportunity to send it around the outside at turns 1 and 2. The inside is naturally safer because if a car loses control and spins, they go to the outside. So cars tend to migrate to the inside, but they can stack up because it gets busy. The outside is an option, but a risky one.
Another driver we're going to hear from, Laurens Lequertier. He had an off yesterday morning, did a bit of rear damage. He's bounced back from that. He's with Bryn.
Well, Laurens, it's an interesting day for you guys with the damaged car, but it's all repaired and it's looking good, and you've got silver pole, which is the most important thing.
Yes, exactly. We are really happy about it. We concreted yesterday after a little crash, of course, but Brands said to me, be careful, guy. This is a difficult circuit, but yes, we are happy now.
Good luck.
Sorry, thank you.
Silver pole was a great comeback for Laurens Lequertier. New to the circuit, having been the Alpine European champion last season, and a very quick driver is Laurens Lequertier, so we'll hear more from him, I'm sure. Ivan Klimenko is his co-driver in the Santalok Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. The Audi's still a good, dependable car, and it's proving to be an ideal way for some of the silvers and golds to learn and develop in an established chassis.
Yeah, it's probably been the GT3 car for over a decade. It's actually 15 kilos lighter today as well than yesterday, so that car could be even more competitive than it was already in qualifying.
To the grid once more, let's hear quickly from Charles Wirtz before we go into battle.
Well, Charles, I know you're getting ready and about to jump in the car, so thanks for talking to us very quickly. It didn't go quite to plan for qualifying, so what do you have to do out here in the race?
Yeah, indeed, we just seemed like the BMW was struggling a bit yesterday. Yeah, let's see what we can do now. We know cooler conditions should play, I would say, in our favor, but still, it's a very tricky track to overtake. Yeah, it's also a tricky track to take the first lap. A lot of things happening. Let's try to keep it, first of all, a clean race. And yeah, we'll try to score the points we can. And it's a long championship, but we will definitely do the best. And I'm sure the guys in the pit stop will do a great job.
Best of luck. Thanks for talking to us. Cheers, Charles.
So Charles Wirtz for Team WRT gets himself ready to go. And the grid is formed. We've got a concern that there might be a gap where another of the WRT BMW should be. Number 30 might not be in place. The Gustav Bergström car further back. You're looking at 96. The quicker Porsche. Sven Müller will go first. We've been used to seeing him this year in British GT as well as in GT World Challenge Europe, but of course he's raced in just about every endurance category going in Porsches, having come out of Porsche Super Cup and Carrera Cup Deutschland, which he was successful in a few years back. So as the grid now starts to be cleared of the VIPs and of the mechanics, the last engineer stands with the car ready for the 1 minute board to make sure the engine fires up. But indeed, there is a gap on the grid where number 30 BMW of Gustav Bergström is not to be found. So not quite sure why that is, because I wasn't aware that it had a problem yesterday. Anyway, we'll try to unravel that. What we do have on the grid then is a really high quality lineup, not only in terms of the brands and the teams, but in drivers as well. And what's so encouraging is that you've got these 14 newcomers to Sprint Cup, which illustrates just how strong this category is now.
Yeah, and two of them are starting right at the front, both at AF course cars on the outside row, 2nd and 4th place. Haven't done a GT World Challenge sprint race. Yes, Rivera is very, very experienced in that Ferrari. Same with Arthur Leclerc as well. But it's some nuances, and the big thing is the pit stop. So 25 minutes into this race, the pit window opens for 10 minutes. Everyone needs to come in and go through that mandatory driver change and 4 tyre changes. And as a driver, you know you've got 20 seconds to stop the car, get out the car, get the new driver in, do their belts up, get the window net on and get that car gone. That is a huge amount of stress on top of an already stressful situation, driving a race car.
992 BMW is Max Janssen to go first in the Paradigm competition entry. Darren Lung's team, managed by Simon Graves, and the Dutch crew, Maxime Oostem will take over. Max Janssen will start. They ran in the Silver Cup, and again are going to be worth watching, but so is this car on pole position. Thierry Vermeulen, we know, is quick. Chris Lallam qualified 2nd overall yesterday, another Gold Cup pole position then, so 2 out of 2 in terms of qualifying in class for pole position for this car. Really, really impressive start. Emil Frey Racing, the team that operates the car, and although we saw Thierry Vermeulen and Chris Lallam aboard the 2 Aston at Paul Ricard in endurance, now of course it's a car that Thierry Vermeulen knows far better, having raced the Ferrari over the last couple of seasons, not just in GT World Challenge either. There is number 30 BMW just peeking out of the garage. We understand it's an electrical issue. It'll start from the pit lane. They're not going to sacrifice that much. It was on the anti-penultimate row of the grid anyway, but it's still a bit of a concern for the drivers and for the team, because it's the last thing you need, delaying you from being on the grid.
Yeah, electrical issues are never good, depending on where the gremlin is sitting in the wiring loom. Trying to even find the problem is a hard task for some of the race teams. But yeah, going back to Vermeulen, he's been quick all weekend, 1 minute board, so engines will be fired up. That single mechanic staying with the car will vacate the pit lane now, and then suddenly the tension starts to rise. As soon as that door closes, as a driver, you're in your cockpit all alone, and all you have alongside you is your thoughts and best wishes.
Alessio Rivera, endurance champion last year, but new to Sprint Cup, new to Brands Hatch. Thierry Vermeulen on pole position. So it's an all-Ferrari front row. It is McLaren Ferrari on the 2nd row. It is Mercedes AMG Ferrari on the 3rd row. Rolling start, of course, so as the engines fire, the grid is clear, the gates in the pit wall will close, the cars will be released. And then they don't stop on the grid, of course. They go straight into battle if the race director, Niels Wittich, is happy with the way that the formation comes out of Clark Curve. The Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, it's a proper old-school track. It is the shortest lap on the calendar, and we look forward to 2 really interesting races here to get Sprint Cup for 2025 underway. Green flag is shown. The lead car blasts away, the Maserati, which will lead them around, and then Thierry Vermeulen accelerates away. The race officials then coordinating the start. Number 30 BMW has just arrived on the pit apron, so that is going to get underway from the pits when the race actually begins. And that will happen the next time the cars come across this adverse cambered start and finish line on the Brabham Straight. Down towards Paddock Hill Bend then. They will turn in the sunshine of Brands Hatch. It's cooler today than yesterday, but still a glorious day. Thierry Vermeulen starts on pole position and pole in gold as well, ahead of Alessio Rivera, with Marvin Kirchhoff lining up third on the grid. Arthur Leclerc is fourth, ahead of Lucas Al, the reigning champion, and Ben Green starting sixth. Seventh is where you find Hugo Cook. Eighth on the grid, Adam Smalley, ahead of Charles Wirtz with work to do, and Sven Muller likewise starting 10th. 11th is Arthur Rougier. Lawrence Lecquatier is alongside him. Then it is Jim Pla in the second CSA Racing McLaren. Ezekiel Perez Compank is alongside him, ahead of Luc Hartog, and then Max Janssen. Aurelien Panis is going to start from 17th with Marcos Siebert alongside. Then Sebastian Ugard's Tresor Attempto Audi. Paul Everard's Santalog example is alongside him. Only 21st is Maxime Martin, the reigning French GT champion. Mathieu Villagomez comes next, ahead of Al-Faisal Al-Zubar's BMW and Kobe Powell's Aston. He put that in the gravel in free practice. Daniel Ali, another newcomer. He's with Barwell, he's 25th. A gap where Gustav Bergstrom should have been. He'll start from the pits. Mathis Lismon with the new Corvette has Yusuf Vega alongside him in the repaired Mustang. And then Luca Engschler and Ivan Ekelchik put to the back of the grid, excluded from qualifying for running the wrong BOP. They've got a lot of work to do, and so is this car, which finds itself at the very, very back now, giving up its grid position on row 13. It will start after everybody else. Drivers have said that Brands Hatch is not the easiest track around which you can overtake. These are big, wide cars, and Brands is relatively narrow. It has not shrunk over the years, but race cars have got bigger, so you've got to be creative, you've got to be really thoughtful about where you can make a move. And equally, this perhaps more than other venues we're going to go to for Sprint Cup does put the importance on pit stops.
Yeah, really does. And it's a bit chillier this morning as well, just touching on weather. 11 degrees ambient. The wind has changed direction as well, so it's now a headwind into one. Just looking at Arthur Leclerc's tyre pressures as we're on board the car 50, down at 1.5 bar. So they've still got another sort of 20-30% grip to find. So this could be a Larry start. This car needs to leave a gap in front. That's where the 30 WRT BMW should be. So he should leave a whole car gap in front. Just keep an eye on that. Coming into the last corner, you can see the speed has dropped now, 42 kilometers an hour. The lead car, Vermeulen, now is the pace. He sets it as they come up to the start-finish line.
So the Maserati lead car will dive for the pit lane. Thierry Vermeulen, number 69, the very Ferrari liveried red AF Corsa example of Alessio Rivera on the outside. Marvin Kirchhoff as McLaren starting third. Arthur Leclerc starting fourth in the second of the AF Corsa Francorchamps Motors cars. But here at Brands Hatch, race one of the season in GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. Sprint Cup is about to get underway. They come up towards the lights, which go green. We go racing. A good stop by Vermeulen, and Kirchhoff is on his toes, trying to squeeze up the inside, and he goes second. Then a bit of a rub with Rivera. Also, Lucas Auer has made a good start in the Mercedes AMG from the third row. Are they all going to get through paddock safely? Yes, they are. Vermeulen leading. Kirchhoff is second. Third looks like being Rivera. Ben Green has made a good getaway, and as you look back from the Ferrari coming out of Druids for the first time, it's a really crowded house behind.
Yeah, Kirchhoff has got up to second as well now, so he's done an amazing job. Both AF course cars losing positions. You could see the WRT car there. Charles Wirtz getting bounced out. It's also been a good start by Hartog in that second of the Porsches there from Runic as we go on board with Hugo Cook. That's Charles Wirtz in front. Two Runic Porsches in front of that. You can see the straight line performance of the BMW there as they still dive for position, but great start from Kirchhoff to get up to second place.
Absolutely right. He's not done yet, of course. He's going after Vermeulen. He also leads his class because he's in pro, whereas the leading Ferrari is in gold. You're on board now with the Mustang, Yusuf Vega threading his way out of Hawthorns towards Westfield. The leaders are coming up through Sheen Curve for the first time, then go right. Use the curve on the inside, then you go left at Stirling's. That banked corner tilts you to the left, and then it's back on the power. Haul the car out the other side and come down towards Clearways. Luc Hartog up into 9th place. It was a good first lap. He's gained 6 places. So has Marcus Siebert in number 52 Ferrari. A little bit further back in the queue. But look at the gap at the end of lap 1 that Vermeulen has got already. Through he comes ahead of Marvin Kirchhoff for second. In 3rd place, it is Alessio Rivera. Ben Green is 4th. He's been on the move. So Arthur Leclerc goes through 5th ahead of Adam Smalley. Down to 7th, though. Lucas Auer seemed to be good into paddock, but got roughed up on the opening lap. Muller is 8th. Hartog, his teammate, 9th. And Charles Wirtz has gone backwards. He's 10th.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well by Al, because he was on the inside row, so the car directly in front of him, was Kirchhoffer, who, like we said, is in second, so Al got squeezed and had to get out the throttle and lost momentum in that way. But what a start from Vermeulen in the lead, 1.1 seconds ahead by the end of the first lap. I saw him working those tyres super hard. He did a big burnout off the line as well to get heat in that car, and I think that is paying dividends now. Is that going to hurt him towards the end of the stint? Is he going to overwork those tyres? Let's see.
At the moment, Vermeulen leads overall and leads gold. Leading pro is Kirchhoff second overall. The leading silver is Lurt Hartog in the second of those Rutronic Racing Porsches, and Hartog is in 9th place overall as the leaders drop downhill out of Westfield, climb the other side through Dingledale into Sheen Curve. Vermeulen trying to build that gap over Marvin Kirchhoff. Alessio Rivera third. In turn, he's trying to work out how he can get back on the terms of the McLaren. Hartog goes through, leading silver. He will give that car over to Ishan Pieris for the second stint, who's raced in GT World Challenge Asia. The leaders dive under the camera through clearways, and at the end of the opening lap, it was 11 tenths of a second between the top two. It's up to 1.3 seconds now. Vermeulen is building that gap. Lucas Al coming under attack. Look from Sven Müller. Mercedes AMG versus Porsche. This is for 7th and 8th.
Yeah, looking very dicey, Müller. He's going to be able to get onto the back of the Mercedes in front. The Porsche so strong with its traction. This is the best traction zone out of turn 2. Druid's corner. Where's he going to be able to line up and move? The Mercedes is very good under braking and has a stable aero platform. So I think Müller's best chance is probably going to be somewhere towards the end of the lap where he can get in the slipstream, get the toe, and we can see what happens. Just looking at time screen, Kirchhoffer has just done a purple sector 1. That was followed by a purple sector 2. So the car is coming alive for that McLaren. We've got a prancing horse versus Kiwi battle, haven't we? The top 6 dominated by Ferrari and McLaren.
That prancing horse, though, has been a little bit indelicate on its toes as you look at Maro Engel, in as much as Thierry Vermeulen has already picked up a track limit warning. So while he's been pushing to try to build that lead, he's overstepped the mark slightly at Paddock Hill Bend. So Thierry Vermeulen, early in the race, has picked up 1 track limit warning. There's only one other car, Daniel Ali's Lamborghini, that has done the same. That's Lucas Al, winner here last year, champion in Sprint Cup last year. Leaders coming to clearways. Battle on for 3rd, 4th. Rovera with Ben Green bearing down on him. Arthur Leclerc is in 5th place. Adam Smalley 6th, then it's Al and Müller 7th and 8th. Hartog 9th, Witt still in 10th, and Vermeulen still in charge. That gap's gone up further, 1.5 seconds now. He leads Adam Smalley in the Gold Cup. Arthur Rougier 3rd in class.
Yeah, and actually seeing Ben Green's made a mega start. He started 6th, he's up to 4th, so gained 2 places from the outside row. He's really the only car to make that outside row work on the first lap as we go on board with the 96 car. This is Sven Müller, that's Lucas Auer in front. Let's see where the balance of these cars are. Like I said, the Porsche normally dominates traction areas with the engine right over the rear axle. Generates a lot of good weight distribution. You can see the Mercedes there carrying good entry speed, but the slide there. The driver's been looking after these tyres slightly, but they're going to get changed in potentially 20 to 30 minutes time, so they don't really need to nurse the car too much. It's max attack at this point through Hawthorne's Bend. Just see the rear of the car there looking nice and stable for Sven Müller.
Now there, number 992 goes through in 15th place. That is Max Janssen. He's on the back of Ezekiel Perez Compact, so this is a silver battle. Compact sharing with Alex Arca, whose father Arkin owns the Tresor Attempto team, and climbing up now through Dingledale. The BMW right on the tail of the Audi, and in turn has got Jim Clark's McLaren next in the queue. Now Jim Clark in number 111 runs in the Pro Cup, but he's stuck behind a couple of silvers at the moment, desperately trying to find a way through as the race leaders come down towards clearways, up towards the timing line once again, and it is now 1.9 seconds Vermeulen to Kirchhoffer. Marvin Kirchhoffer, who shares that Garage 59 entry with Benjamin Goethe. Thierry Vermeulen with Chris Lullen, who is less experienced in real world racing, real demon in esports. So fast forward to the second stint, there are lots of imponderables.
Yeah, Vermeulen is in a class of his own in the middle sector, the sector out the back, the most old school sector of this already old school circuit. He was 3/10 quicker than anybody in sector 2, and that seems to really be the foundation for his pace. So that car must be super confidence inspiring through the very fast flowing nature out the back here. This is the first corner of sector 2. You can see Kirchhoffer in touching distance, 1.9 seconds, then 8 tenths, then 6 tenths, then 1 second, and then 6 tenths back to this McLaren of Smalley. Looks like we're getting a bit of a battle pack, doesn't it? From 2nd to 6th are staying there, but in my opinion, Vermeulen at the moment, class of his own.
So Thierry Vermeulen with the fastest lap of the race. On this lap, Kirchhofer does do an absolute best within sector 1. So is that McLaren now starting to switch on in the second sector? The answer is no, because the time he gained in sector 1 he's lost in sector 2. Kirchhofer dropping back. The sister car of Adam Smalley, second in gold, but 6th overall. There it is. Adam Smalley shares that car with Louis Pret. They make a good combination. Carrera Cup GB champion Adam Smalley a couple of seasons ago. Last year he was a class champion in British GT. He was the Silver Am champion with Sean Balfe. And right now he's chasing after Arthur Leclerc for 5th place overall. 2 seconds is the margin now between Vermeulen and Kirchhofer as they go by. Really close further back. The BOP working really well. Now these two Lamborghinis have a Herculean task to get up the order. Luca Engschler in number 63, the quicker of the two, of Engschler and his stablemate, Ivan Ekalchik, who's in the other car at the moment. But Engschler doing his best to get through the traffic, but it just is not easy. And look what he's got to get past now. A Ford Mustang that occupies most of Kent.
It's not an easy task. And that car of Engschler qualified 4th in qualifying. He's currently in 26th position. That shows you how competitive this field is. Like, yes, you might have the pace on a clear single lap. To be able to hammer that home is difficult, so we might just catch the headlights of that Grasser Lamborghini behind as we go on board on that Mustang. The V8 singing all the way down through the Pilgrims drop into Hawthorne's Bend. You can see the Come2You Aston Martin in front. It's at a manageable distance, but it's not holding us up at the moment. And as we go back to leader, he's not being held up a single iota.
Really impressive, this, by Thierry Vermeulen. We've seen quite a lot of him in GT World Challenge Europe over the last few seasons, and in the DTM as well. And just experience. Every season he looks stronger, he makes fewer errors. And yesterday, brilliant job right at the very end of qualifying. He's wide there at paddock now. He's got to be careful, because that's where he picked up one track limit warning earlier. Straight away, we look towards the message line on the timing screen and see whether that has incurred another one. As long as there's one wheel is in contact with the white line, you're okay. There was a Lamborghini going wide at paddock in the background as well. So the drivers, as they push and the fuel load comes down and the car starts to feel ever so slightly different, they've got to be careful. But Vermeulen, I think, got away with that. But behind him, Kirchhofer has got a track limit warning now, and so has Rivera. So the top three have all had one strike.
Yeah, paddock is such a difficult corner as a driver not to run wide. You want to carry as much speed as possible, but the load of the car, the elevation change, 10 meters, the corner drops there. Once you're running wide from the apex, you can't get any more lock on. The car locks out, it bottoms out on the floor. And that's why you see big snaps of oversteer as we see the top speed powered by AWS, 246 kilometers an hour for this BMW in shot of Charles Wurz, and then from an Aston Martin, from another couple of BMWs from the Ford as we go on board with this car. We're used to seeing it at the front. It won last GT World Challenge race out at Paul Ricard. It's struggling a bit this weekend, but never discount WRT in a pit stop race.
No, for sure, they ought to be able to gain places on the pit stops, but as you say, Charles Wirt and Kelvin van der Linde, winners at Paul Ricard, up towards the line he comes. Their number 32 BMW will come by in 10th place, but that's actually better in terms of the class position. It's 7th because you've got a silver and a couple of golds ahead. So in terms of class points, he's going to buy some back. Wide at paddock there. Charles Wirtz has got one track limit warning already. Now remember, in this race there is a pit window between 25 and 35 minutes. We're edging towards that as Wirtz drops downhill and goes left at Graham Hill Bend.
Yeah, there's definitely another track limits for Charles Wurz from the onboard there at turn number 1. Vermeulen's gap is just stagnating. It stayed at 1.9 seconds. The gap that's growing is actually Kirchhoff is pulling away from Rivera. Ben Green stuck at that 0.4 of a second. That's been like that since lap 1. That will be a frustrating stint. His teammate is leading the race. So we know Emerald Frey have a very quick Ferrari, as do A, of course, but great to see the same car from two different stables. That prancing horse is definitely having a good weekend here at Brands Hatch.
So the BMW Charles Wirtz goes through Westfield. He's falling back slightly from Luc Hartog, who will give that car over to Isham Pires. Hartog much the quicker of the two, so that car you may expect to drop away a little bit in the second stint. That's going to be a bit of a boost to the WRT BMW. Now look up the road. Auer and Muller are getting themselves together again. The Mercedes AMG, as they went underneath the bridge, was being caught by the Porsche. This is the rest of the pack coming out of Stirling. It's going underneath the camera. But there is that fight I was talking about for 7th place. Auer to Muller. It's only 0.437 of a second. and Sven Muller is coming back at the reigning champion.
Yeah, I think I'm predicting an undercut here from this Porsche, the 96 car. They will pit as early as they can, I think, to get Niederhausen in to get some free air. But I think Winwood will also pit as early as possible to get Engel in, because he was pole position yesterday in Q2. So that is a very quick driver in a very quick car. So I think that's going to be a proper race in pit lane between those two cars. Who can do the pit stop quicker? And at the moment, I'm hearing Rutronica beating everyone in the practices. But practice and race are two very different items.
In silver for third place, Ezekiel Perez Companc versus Max Janssen. BMW on the tail of Audi as they head down towards Hawthorne. The road plunges downhill, then it rises again the other side, coming into the corner itself. So the BMW looking for a way past the Audi. Ezekiel Perez Companc has, for now at least, part of his Mad Panda Motorsport team. He can concentrate on being a driver, doesn't have all the extra stress of running a team to go with it. And I think he's rather enjoying that. He's come back rejuvenated this year. Yeah, it's a huge thing as a driver to be able to get rid of some stresses and distractions. And if you can just focus on driving fast in circles, then it does start to reap its reward. And it's starting to look like Matt Jensen's starting to get a bit frustrated. Headlights fully ablaze and just starting to look down the inside of that Audi into corners, just trying to catch the mirror. As you can see there, he's just trying to sit, just trying to distract, just trying to get the eyes, look strong on the brakes as well, starting to reel in onto the rear bumper of that Audi R8 GT3 car. So up the hill they climb. We are round about 11 minutes or so off that pit window as Jensen gets right onto the back, going into the hairpin. Maxime Lustin, his co-driver, looking on from the pit lane down to Graham Hill Bend. BMW might be the quicker of the two, but it just cannot find a way by. The balance of performance, which equates all of these different cars and engine sizes and normally aspirated and turbos, does a really good job. But the frustration for a driver is that because the cars are all so evenly matched, it is really, really hard to find a way by. Just ask Luca Engschler, he's only 26th in a car that was, as Joe said, 4th quickest in the qualifying session yesterday. And they're going to do it all over again from the back later on because they were excluded from both elements of qualifying. So, car 32, Charles Wirtz in 10th place. Is he a bit frustrated, I wonder? Well, let's find out. Let's just eavesdrop, number 32.
Nine laps. Track limits turn 1. We have 2 warnings. No more. We have 2 warnings.
So Charles Wirtz gets the message about now 2 track limit warnings at paddock, and this is why, way wide, the wrong side of the white line, very nearly 2 wheels in the gravel almost. Yeah, 40 centimetres illegal there, so no arguments there. And Will, the engineer, clear on the radio with his message, no more track limits. You really want to save them for when you can use them. By that I mean you let the car run out wide of the corner, carry that momentum and carry that into a potential overtake. It's a good example here on the exit of turn 3, Graham Hill Bend. If you let it run wide, carry another couple of K down this straight, you've got a chance of outbraking them into Surtees, and it just starts to help you out there. If you're using them up willy-nilly, then it's kind of a bit academic, and you're being a bit selfish to your teammate in the second stint of this race. 45 minutes of this first Sprint Cup race still to go, and number 64 Mustang, Yusuf Ovega, 25th. He is defending from Luca Engschler. He was squabbling early on with Kobe Powell's Aston Martin. This is the replay. You're on board with Ovega in the Mustang, the Haupt Racing Team run car up towards Druids. Brakes late, turns in, gets into the back of the Aston, which I think was having its own moment first. Yeah, the Aston was having a moment, like you said, and then the Mustang went, well, I want to carry on. I'm going to give you some of my momentum, and just ran into the rear of him. And yeah, it's a difficult thing with front engine car. You've got a lot of real estate sat in front of you, so generally quite hard to know where the front end of your car is. He did just find out almost in a braille fashion by giving that car a bit of a nudge. No harm, no foul. Race control won't look into that anymore, I'm sure. Ferraris then turn through 3rd, 4th, 5th out of Druids. So right now, Alessio Rivera 3rd, Ben Green 4th, Arthur Leclerc 5th, and Adam Smalley in 6th place. Not being able to stay on the back, but he's really shaken off Lucas out. That Mercedes that's on pole position, don't forget, for race 2, is really struggling at the moment. And this is a little bit like we saw at Paul Ricard, in as much as the car was good in qualifying, but in race pace, it fell away in France, and different track, different BOP, but the same kind of thing is happening. Lucas Auer, 7th, is 10 seconds behind the race leader.
Yeah, it's going to be a long hour for this car, that's for sure. Maybe it's because they changed the mirror. The good luck in Germany of a smashed mirror has been changed overnight. But yeah, I mean, even Engel only got one fast lap in qualifying before the tyre dropped off. So they've obviously got a very fast car over one lap, but is it using its tyre too hard? That's definitely what the timing screen is alluding, but I think it pushes us even more to a pit lane race between himself and Sven Müller. Pit window opening in 8 minutes, 10 seconds.
And the teams will be working out when is best to call in their car, not only in terms of the pace of the driver that is in it compared to the pace of the driver that will get into the car, but also where the car is in terms of traffic. Is it better to leave a quick driver out but stuck in a queue, or get him out of that traffic, put the slightly slower driver in, but maybe in clear air? All the brains trust up and down the pit lane will be looking at that as Ben Green goes wide at Druids. Got away with that in as much as he was able to fend off Arthur Leclerc's challenge, but he fell away by a length or so from Rivera. Adam Smalley in the background, still hustling on, 6th overall in the McLaren. And I would offer you Lucas Auer getting away again slightly from Sven Müller. We did have that at 4/10 a few laps back. It's now 8/10 of a second between the Mercedes and the Porsche.
Yeah, maybe the Porsche is now doing its rear tyre short wheelbase on that car as we go on board with Arthur Leclerc through Hawthorns. We're just kind of sat in a window 7 to 8 tenths as we see the mechanics of Emil Frey warming up. They're about to have a very physical 20 seconds of their life. Look at the speed rising down the hill of Dingledale. Sandy Mitchell getting ready to take over the Barwell Lambo into Sheen curve, bounce over the curb there. You can see the dust being thrown up in front. Interestingly, Ben Green is the only car without a track limit warning, which when you're riding on board with Leclerc, seeing how much dust he's throwing up seems slightly ironic. Interestingly, track limit wise, Vermeulen now on 3 track limit warnings. So he's used up 60% of their lives unnecessarily, I think. 2.5 seconds ahead. I think he just needs to reel it back in a bit and be careful. Yes, he's got 2.5 seconds. Let's listen in to Leclerc. We're riding on board with.
You got 1 track limit, turn 3. We only get 1.
So now that's actually old news because he's got 2 track limit warnings. So that is how quickly it happens. Talking about turn 3, which is where we ride now. Watch the cars run out wide. Ben Green runs 2 wide again. So I'm surprised Ben Green has 0 because I've seen 2 since we've been watching. But I'm a commentator, not a race official.
As he comes then now to the Grand Prix loop with 41 minutes of the race to go. Lead gap, Vermeulen to Kirchhofer, Ferrari to McLaren, 2.4 seconds. Currently, you're riding with Arthur Leclerc, 5th in the race and 4th in the Pro Cup. Down towards Hawthorns, closes a little bit onto the back of Ben Green there, going into the corner. But yeah, Thierry Vermeulen is not only the leader, but he's the only driver on 3 track limit warnings, more than anybody else in the race. Quite a few on 2, granted, but Thierry Vermeulen, while he's been pushing to build that lead, has overstepped the mark on 3 occasions, and that's not giving much leeway to Chris Lallam, his co-driver, when he gets on board. There's the full classification. It's still Luc Hartog in the lead of silver, Thierry Vermeulen leading in gold, as well as overall Marvin Kirchhofer leading in pro. Now, a 4th track limit warning has gone Vermeulen's way. He's going to be given the driving standards flag as the next part of the process, so you get your 3 warnings. A 4th transgression counts, but you also get that warning flag. But he's getting into the danger zone.
I don't get it at all. He's putting so much pressure on Lallam now. Lallam can't afford 1 mistake. That's the problem. Track limits is huge here, but the drivers are in control. Let's listen in again on car 50. It's coming in on the radio.
Track limit again, 40 for car 40. So got 1 track limit, turn 3. Please, no more. Please, no more. Take care.
So the team's saying to the drivers, you can't afford to rack up any more. Ben Green, by the way, now has got those 2 that you were predicting. So all the drivers are getting them totting up. Lucas Auer is on 0, interestingly enough. He's keeping his nose very clean. Mauro Engel, his co-driver, you just saw getting himself ready. There's the Ferrari challenge fight, as it were, keeping Adam Smalley's McLaren at bay in 6th. Auer 7th in the background. Sven Müller is now over a second back from Lucas Auer. That gap really has stretched over the last few laps. You get the feeling there's going to be a big moment there for Ben Green coming out of Sheen Curve. He got away with that. Does he get away with it at Sterling's on dirty tyres? He does. I was about to say, you get the feeling there might be a mad scramble into the pits as soon as the window opens to try and do something to get out of the queue.
Yeah, here's the replay of Ben Green running wide. No exit curb whatsoever on the exit of Sheen, so you are straight into dirt. Technically not a track limit because he keeps a wheel on the track, but not good for performance. And as a driver, you know you've got dirt on the tyres as well, so you're kind of second-guessing how much grip you've got. A bit of a wobble under braking there for Vermeulen. Quite rare to see that from a mid-engine car, using all the track legally on the exit of turn number 2. How does he look on the exit of 3? Legal now. Maybe he's just pulling the reins a bit tighter on that Ferrari, trying to work out where he is. But yeah, interestingly, going back to the clerk's radio, you could actually hear him dobbing in Ben Green, car 14, illegal on the track limits. So these drivers always trying to mitigate issues and blame someone else. But great shot there of the cars exiting the corner, trying to use every inch of real estate.
We have had a change a little bit further back for 16th place overall. Aurelian Panis Mercedes ahead of Jim Plas McLaren. And there it is, in fact, as the cars come towards us. So Panis has gained ground. The Audi fight that you can see is Sebastian Nugard fending off Lawrence Leclerture. Leclerture in the white car, the Santilot car, and he's on the gas coming out of Surtees. Behind it is Paul Everard in the second of those white Santilot Audis. The bridge, down they go now towards Hawthorne to go right. And Aurelian Panis, who shares the Boots and VDS Mercedes with Cesar Gazzo, getting away now from Jim Plas. He's gained 16th place, wide at Hawthorne's in the background as Paul Everard. And still, Ezequiel Perez Companc in the world's widest Audi. He's keeping Max Janssen's BMW at bay.
Yeah, we're looking like 2 more laps to go before pit window, and we get this second phase of the race. It's 2 races for the price of 1 in GT World Challenge Sprint, so keep your eyes on who's going to pit first. 2 minutes 10, the teams will have worked out what's the earliest they can pit. Cars could not cross pit entry line before 35 minutes remaining, and they will be glued on that for their strategy.
Over the line goes Companc. Max Janssen right up behind him as they dive towards paddock. 14th and 15th, they're fighting for, and 3rd and 4th in the Silver Cup as well. Make the climb up towards Druids. Hit the brakes, turn right. Lead gap's 2 seconds at the moment. So Vermeulen and Kirchhofer come down fractionally. And now on 4 track limit warnings is Ben Green as well as Thierry Vermeulen. So he's really wrapped those 4 up in very, very short space of time.
Yeah, he heard me say he was the only driver in the top 6 without any, and then got 2 lots of 2s in quick succession. So both Emil Frey Ferraris, interestingly, with the most track limit penalties. Is that a strategy? Is that a characteristic of the car? Is it understeering out wide? Is it oversteering out wide? All of these track limits really are turns 1 or 3, aren't they? I haven't seen anywhere else. And that is the real hotspots out the back here, relatively self-policing, because there isn't the performance to be had driving on grass on exits. We go on board of the Mustang, gaining on that COM2 Aston Martin, under braking again, close but no contact this time.
So we are just a minute away from that pit window opening, and again your track position relative to the clock is going to be key, for example, because if you're at the back you might be able to dive in as the window opens. If you're up the road you may have to do the rest of that lap.
Yeah, interesting. I think I just saw a Paradine mechanic running to the pit wall with a pit board. Maybe that 992 BMW is having a radio issue, so let's keep an eye on that. They will want to box this lap. Everyone will be able to box by the end of this lap, so it's going to be a mad scramble, I think. I think some teams are struggling with tyre pressures here, just with the ebb and flow of pace of cars. Kirchhofer has got that gap down to 1.7, sorry, 2/10 quicker on the last lap. Is that a trend? Is look at Kirchhofer using all the track and a bit more, turning in there at well over 160 kilometers an hour through the car. And there's that graphic. It's starting to come to Kirchhofer. Last 3 laps have all been in his favour.
So there is 58, McLaren of Adam Smalley in 6th place. But you're right, that gap has been coming down again, little by little, between the top 2, between Vermeulen and Kirchhofer. The pit window is now open. And let's see if the lead car dives to the pit lane. This is the right-hander. Vermeulen is the more experienced of the 2, but he's in. And so too is going to be Kirchhofer for 2nd place. That's going to put Alessio Rivera into the lead. He stays out. Ben Green stays out. Arthur Leclerc, I think, comes in as well. And potentially Adam Smalley. Stays out. But you've got Sven Muller's Porsche into the pit lane. So Rivera leads Green now as down the pit road comes Leclerc.
I'm surprised Kirchhofer came in with the pace of that car. I would have stayed out with the clear air. I would have done opposite box. The team told you the opposite to the car in front. Vermeulen pitting, I would have kept him out. But let's see, this is going to be our first race on pit road.
And also Charles Wirtz is in, number 32 in the team WRT BMW. This is a roll of the dice for the Belgian team to see what they can gain on the pit stops. They're at pit out as well, so as soon as Kelvin van der Linde gets into the red BMW, he can blast away. Van Meulen keeps track position over Kirchhofer. In other words, Chris Lullum now is ahead as he makes his way down the pit lane ahead of Benji Goethe. New drivers, same cars, same positions.
1.2 seconds quicker in the pits though for Garage 59 Goethe now versus Lullum. That gap has come down. Great stop from Garage 59. All the cars look like they've had a clean pit stop so far. Van der Linde 42, that was 3 seconds quicker than Garage 59. WRT have been very quick in the pits. Is that going to put that car 30 in contention? Let's see. Once everyone's boxed, we'll get an idea. But this race now in its second element, second chapter, is really lighting up. Lullum looking quite defensive already with 33 minutes to go. I'm not sure that's the best move.
But this is going to be the making of Chris Lullum, isn't it? I'm not for a moment suggesting that he's not equal to the challenge, but he is, from an esports background in which he is an absolute star, he is very raw when it comes to real-world racing. He dominated Radicals last year, but that's an amateur clubman's championship. It was good experience for him. This is a completely different league. Look at these live pit stop times, 13, 14, 15 seconds between the Ferrari teams and the McLaren at Garage 59 that Adam Smalley has given away now into Philippe Pret. So Chris Lullum takes over the lead car, but is it going to be the lead car after the pit stop window has closed as 51 Ferrari blast away? Alessio Rivera gives way to Vincent Abril. That was many people's tip for a win before the race got underway, and it looks as though that might well be able to gain the advantage on the pit stops. The lead car on the track is coming over the line. Abril rejoins, and he's going to gain the race lead, is he? Yes, he is. Vincent Abril is ahead of Chris Lullum as they come through paddock, and now Lullum's going to get up the inside. He gets crowded onto the grass. No, you don't, says Vincent Abril. Round the outside line comes Benjamin Goethe in the McLaren. He's going to have a go for second place, and Lullum try to get the lead. He doesn't do that, and he loses second place as well. Big lesson learnt.
That was just momentum, wasn't it? I feel for Lullum there. Abril was firm but fair with his defence. He gently edged over to the inside and left Lullum the choice of either hit the side of my car while you're bouncing across the grass or lift, and he went for the latter. Abril now on his outlaps, and we've got Goethe behind who's already had a lapse, who's got that up to feel, up to speed experience as the 32 BMW gets out the way. That's not for position. This is our lead battle. The AF car staying out a lap later has done the overcut.
Lullum coming back at Goethe. He's not at all happy about being shoveled back into third place. Goethe determined to try and strike on Vincent Abril now while he's got this opportunity, while he's got the momentum. Here they come out of Sheen Curve. Back markers up the road. So Vincent Abril making a welcome return to Brands Hatch. Is just going to have to be careful where he puts the car relative to the traffic. Lucas Auer is in to give way to Mauro Engel, but it's a really slow pit stop looking at the clock ticking away at the moment. Race leader then comes up towards the line, and so it is then on the road the car of 51, Vincent Abril in the lead, goes by and trying to build that gap over Benjamin Goethe. Half a second.
Yeah, it was actually an okay pit stop for Winwood, handing over to Engel from Auer. Obviously, it's hard for us to see the stationary time. We're seeing the full time that starts as soon as the car crosses pit entry. So Winwood did an okay job there, but the best job so far is that 51 AF course Ferrari now in the lead, flashing the headlights to the Barwell Lamborghini, trying to get them out of the way. It's not full position. That car of Ali should be moving out the way, but it's holding it up. Is that going to give a chance for the McLaren behind and even the Lullum Ferrari to get a run on there? Looks like Abril's to the inside and lives to fight another day.
Side-by-side leader through the traffic down towards Hawthorns. Benjamin Goethe is giving Vincent Abril a really good workout here as they run along the short straight up towards Westfield. Benjamin Goethe has got good pace, and in fairness to Chris Lullum, he's not falling away. He's determined to stay with them. Of course, in all of this, he wants to make sure he wins the Gold Cup. So, yes, OK, he's down to third overall, but there's a class win as well at stake here.
Yeah, just looking down the list, Niederhauser has jumped Engel, so that Rutronic Porsche has done the job on the Winwood Mercedes. Louis Pret taking over. Smalley is our biggest loser inside the top six. He's now dropped 2 positions. Van der Linde has gained a couple, 2.992. Done a good job as a spinner for come to you. The stellar Corvette doing a stellar job to not clatter into the side there. That could have been a big, big accident. Has that car got a problem? Is it going to get back up to speed? Jamie Day looks like it's all okay now.
Getting a replay here. Was there contact from the Lamborghini?
Possibly
so, yes.
Yeah, I think the Lambo's gone for a bit of a lunge. You can see the windscreen, sorry, the wing mirror there flopping around. So I think that's going to attract a penalty for one of the GRT Grasser cars, just trying to work out who it was. I think it was Jordan Pepper, as he was behind Day the lap before. So I think there'll be a penalty for car 63. So look at the traffic. This is what we saw, and Abril got to the inside. There was a bit of contact. Lulham lost a bit of the front bodywork. One of the dive planes went flying, and then Gove sent it round the outside to claim second position. Great move from the McLaren there, and Abril, I think, was hard, but in my opinion was fair. He closed the door and he was in his right to do so.
So the 51 Ferrari goes through, makes the climb up towards Sheen Curve once again. We've got 28.5 minutes of the race still to go here. And once again, out of Sterling's they head. 69 Ferrari. Chris Lulham still ahead in class, and race control having a look at one or two incidents, including the Vincent Abril squeeze on Chris Lulham and saying no further action required.
Yeah, I think it's fair. It's hard whenever there's contact. You feel like there should be some play in a portion, but when you're the car in front, you get to dictate where you place your car, and the car behind has to deal with that, and that's exactly what happened there. So a great call from race control.
Up the hill climbs the AF Corsa Ferrari. So we've still got one or two cars yet to pit. Leading on the road is 97, Luc Hartog. Now that Porsche, the sister car to the one you've just seen, is out of position because it has yet to stop. So in real terms, it is Vincent Abril leading Benjamin Goethe. Chris Lulham is in third place. Sandy Mitchell has now done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:23.6 in number 78 Lamborghini. That's your on-the-road leader, but it's going to fall down as soon as it makes the pit stop. But you can see what the team are doing here, keeping the quick Luc Hartog out for as long as possible.
Yeah, and that lap from Sandy Mitchell just been beaten by Jordan Pepper, 23.3. That is a new lap record, 0.2 of a second quicker than our previous record from Marciello in a Mercedes. So that shows you the pace of that Grasser car that was excluded from qualifying. So they would have had a weekend now of what could have been.
Yeah, exactly. So Sandy Mitchell's fastest lap replaced by Jordan Pepper's fastest lap. Lamborghini showing good pace. Dust settling. Patrick Niederhauser goes through, having taken over from Sven Müller, and coming now down into Clark Curve once more. Lap 24, the race leader has just started, and Luc Hartog therefore is staying out to the very, very end of the window. There is Mario Engel hustling on. Whoops, bit of drama over at Westfield as 25 gets roughed up. That's the Audi of Gilles Magnus, and he got rather crowded to the outside line there.
Yeah, they're still going at it as well, still side by side. More dust getting kicked up, still side by side are they into Sterling. 26 Audi there, just claiming the position and then giving Alex Acker a good face full of dust for good measure. A good three-car Audi battle there, two from Santilok and one from Attempto. It's been some hard, fair racing. It's right on the borderline of that fairness.
Race leaders come through once again. So Hartog up front, he's looking for a silver win, trying to maximise his pace. Of course, what the team is hoping for is no safety car in the second stint that would bunch everybody up behind that car in its class. Vincent Abril then 1 second ahead of Benjamin Goethe, looking at 99 Audi going through. Alex Arca having taken that over now and has dropped back behind the Arvin Klemenko Santilok Audi. Down the pit lane comes Hartog then to give way to Isha Pires. And that, therefore, puts Vincent Abril into the lead officially, if you like, not only as the best of the stoppers, but the on-the-road leader.
Yeah, and that's our last car to complete its pit stop, so a bit of a left field strategy there. They were probably hoping for a full course yellow so they could do their pit stop for free, essentially, because cars would be stuck at 80 kilometers an hour. You can see the last tyre going on. The car will drop to the floor, fire up, and off it will go on its merry way back up to 50 kilometers an hour till the pit exit line. Looks like another good stop, but they're going to slot in behind the WRT car by the looks of it. Interestingly, a lot of space where he's just slotted into. The ebb and flow of this race has afforded them some space, which is always nice as a driver to rejoin the circuit in some space to be able to get your eye in, and because this is the first time they've driven the car today for these second stint drivers, is first lap of the race.
So downhill comes the Porsche. A good stint done by Luc Hartog that may well be important in terms of getting a good podium finish in silver. for Isham Pires now. He has got really a lot of pressure. He's got to respond to this Silver Cup lead. He's got to try and keep the car competitive. He's got to learn the circuit because he's not been to Brands before. So there's a lot here on the line with 24.5 minutes to go as the car accelerates down the hill, heading towards that right-hander going into Hawthorns. So Benjamin Goethe, second. There he is in the McLaren. 1 second. He has fallen away just slightly from Vincent Abril over those last couple of laps. Chris Lallam, third. Conte Lapalainen replacing Ben Green, fourth. There, 50 is Thomas Neubauer in for Arthur Leclerc. That's fifth. And then Patrick Niederhauser's Porsche in sixth. And that leading 6-car train, I would say, is more compact than it was before the pit stops.
Yeah, their lap times are similar. I actually think Goeth's about to get that gap down from 1 second because this lap has been strong so far on the sectors. That gap now down to 0.6 of a second. So Goeth taking 0.4 out of Abril on that last lap alone, and he's bringing Lullen with him. Lullen matched his pace, and then Lapalainen dropped off a couple of tenths there. So, yeah, this race is evolving, and it'll be interesting to see who can keep the pace up with 23.5 minutes remaining.
Really good effort in that first stint by Lurk Hartog, putting the car into the lead of the race and, of course, leading in that Silver Cup. Let's hear from him.
Well, Lurk, we know that Ishan doesn't have a lot of experience around here. First time for Ishan in the UK racing, and you've given him a really, really good position with that performance.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know where I was driving, to be honest. I was just focused on my task, and everything went really smooth. I knew that from yesterday I had a lot more to show. Yesterday I just fell back into old systems, and today I hope I could prove my value, let's say. I was a little bit in a strange position because I was behind my pro teammate, so the only thing I could do really is to stay in the gap. Of course, we're fighting for championships as well, so just had to do my task, drive away. I mean, you know that this is a high level. At some point, the guys really pick up the pace. At this moment, I really felt like also that I had to work for it, and I'm just happy with what I could do. The guys did an amazing pit stop, so now it's up to Ashan.
Well done, thank you.
So Asham Pieris then is at the wheel of 97 now. He's just lost a place overall to Kelvin van der Linden. The leaders go by, and the top 6 now covered by 3.6 seconds. But Vincent Abril ahead. What he's, in a sense, possibly hoping for is that Benjamin Goethe gets stacked into Chris Lullam. A battle for second place would take the pressure off Abril, and then he might be able to get away. Lullam is certainly not falling away, is he, in third place?
No, and remember, Lullam can't afford a track limit penalty because he inherited that car from Vermeulen already with 4 track limits. Fifth one will attract a penalty, so he's having to almost fight with 2 hands tied behind his back. But Abril again looking pretty strong in sector 1 on this lap, but the last lap, the gap down to 0.4 of a second, that'll be much closer than he would want as a driver. Anything under a second starts to feel like one mistake that you make could potentially lose your position. So I don't think this is intentional from Abril. I think this is the pace of the McLaren coming forward. We saw the same thing, didn't we, from Kirchhoffer in that McLaren towards the end of his stint, got stronger and stronger, and all of these cars pitted very early, so the drivers have already been in for nearly 15 minutes of this race.
Louis Pret is currently second in the Gold Cup, taking over from Adam Smalley. That car's fallen back on the pit stops, hasn't it? It's dropped behind Mauro Engel's Mercedes, so admittedly in terms of an overall position, so has its Gold Cup rival Chris Lallam's Ferrari, so they've both sort of fallen down the overall order, but there's still quite a gap between the two. Abril leads overall. Now the gap's down again, half a second. Really good lap that by Benjamin Goethe, so manages to claw back some of the lost ground, taking Lullam with him. Fourth Lapalainen, fifth Neubauer, sixth Niederhauser. The leading 6 still covered by 2.7 seconds. We're just under 21 minutes of the race to go. The Ferrari still looking very, very good indeed up front. Vincent Abril, having reacquainted himself with the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, going very strongly indeed and doing just enough, isn't he? He is not stressing the machinery, not stressing the tyres, nor is he overstepping the mark in terms of track limits, whereas Consta Lapalainen, inheriting some of Ben Green's transgressions, is on 5, and 6 is as bad as it gets, because then penalties come.
Yeah, exactly, going on board with car 50 now with Thomas Neubauer following Lapalainen in front. We're almost going to have an 8-car battle pack for the lead. Louis Pret now catching the back of this field, all starting to get held up, running in dirty air. You start to lose some of the aero efficiencies. You can't circulate at the speed you want. Start to use the tyre more. Look at these cars streaming under the bridge into the last corner. 8 cars are going to be running as one for the last 20 minutes. Who can make a move? Who can make a lunge? That's going to be the question. Headlights not flashing. I thought they were. I think it's actually just the bumpy nature of Brands Hatch pit straight there, making it look like those Garage 59 McLaren headlights were flashing. But Goeth is definitely got some pace, as we see a GRT Lamborghini down the inside of who's that? Jens Klingmann in the WRT BMW. That's for 20th position. Good move by our fastest lap of the race car, Jordan Pepper.
Yeah, nice move going through into the top 20. So as the cars dive down towards clearways then, Jordan Pepper, quickest driver of the race so far. Next target is going to be Gilles Magnus's Audi.
Interestingly, I'm pretty sure I saw the hazard lights on that Lamborghini. I thought it was by mistake. I actually think that was either the most polite or most arrogant thing I've ever seen. And he was saying thank you to Jens Klingmann. Jordan Pepper, South African, very fiery but very fair. I actually think he was being very polite there to Jens Klingmann, two factory drivers from different manufacturers with an utmost amount of respect as we see another battle pack. This one headed by the Mustang in 25th place.
With Romain Andriolo at the wheel of the car that went off here yesterday. With Andriolo at the wheel, the Mustang goes wide, bounces over the curb on the exit of the corner. And at the moment, the Grunt and Go Mustang 25th, keeping Baptiste Moulin at bay. And then behind, it is Enrique Chavez. So a change of place. Baptiste Moulin has got the other GRT Lamborghini one place up the road. And towards the back of this queue, Jamie Day in the Aston Martin. So the race has 18 more minutes to go, and Vincent Abril is only 0.4 of a second in the outright lead. Mustang comes towards us, makes a great noise, but that, in a sense, is true of every car, because one of the great things about GT3 racing is the different shapes and different sizes, but the different sounds.
Yeah, and that's what's so amazing to experience when you come to a track physically and listen and watch these cars. And if you get the opportunity to come to any of the GT World Challenge races, we've got 8 more remaining, all across Europe and obviously across the globe as a bigger umbrella. And this 5-car battle pack represented by 4 different manufacturers. We have 10 different brands now in GT World Challenge. GT racing has never been in stronger health, and SRO have done such a good job at that. And SRO have been coming here since 1996, the first race they had back then on the BPR Global GT Series. It's a 4-hour enduro, but yeah, GT racing, it makes me proud to see how strong it is at the moment.
That was the era of the Porsche 911 GT1 when you had Hans-Joachim Stuck, for example, as one of the drivers. I think Thierry Boutsen was his co-driver to win the BPR race in that era. And Brands Hatch, also one of the quirks going back many, many years when there was a touring car meeting here. It had a Lamborghini Super Trofeo race as a support event, and in the Super Trofeo race at a touring car meeting was one Stefan Rattel. But Stefan loves Brands Hatch, both from a driver's point of view as well as from a promoter's. On board, number 99 Audi. 18th you are, Alex Arca at the wheel, through the dust, kicked up into his face by Alvin Klimenko, now through the left-hander of Sterling's once again.
It's just dust, 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 doesn't it? Feels like he'd be racing in the Sahara, not somewhere in the countryside. And car looking a bit nervous. You watch his steering wheel inputs. There's a couple snaps of oversteer, and there is that 8-car battle pack I was talking about, headed from Vincent Abril, tailed by Louis Pret in the second of the Garage 59 cars. Looks like Goeth has dropped off a bit at the moment.
He has. Now, there is going to be a 5-second time penalty applied to the Mustang, to Jordan Pepper's Lamborghini, and also to Alex Arca's Audi, and to the Patrick Niederhauser Porsche for speeding in the pit lane. In fact, it's 5 seconds for most, although Alex Arca gets 10. But that car is the most significant of them. 6th on the road, Patrick Niederhauser is going to get a 5-second penalty for pit lane speed. Now, whether it was him on his way out or Sven Muller on his way in, it kind of doesn't matter, because you win or lose as a team. But that car, stuck in traffic as it is, add 5 seconds to its time, it's going to drop way down the order.
Yeah, all the way down to P10, so that is really hurts that. And the team will be furious with the driver on that. The cars have an automatic pit speed limiter, has to be activated, and you have to get physically below that speed for it to obviously work. So it'll be interesting to see who did that, but it's really difficult. You've got to get the car down from 120, 130 kilometers an hour down to 50, press the button, and then it holds the car at that speed, and then you simply press and release that button on pit exit. But yeah, in the heat of the moment, maybe the driver coming in is more likely. Maybe it was Sven Muller, but let's find out. But 5 seconds is going to be a painful penalty.
Absolutely right. The second race that comes later on in the day and is due to start at 3:45 will be from a separate qualifying session. It's not that the results of this race give you the grid. In the old days, we had a qualifying race and a main race. Now, if you like, 2 equal races, and therefore that grid already decided, barring any penalties out of this. Now, Lullam being caught by Lapalainen going down towards Hawthorns. Lullam has dropped off the back of Goethe. Now, that's good news for Goethe. If he doesn't have to think about what's going on behind, he can totally commit to attacking Abrill for the lead.
Yeah, these are track limit bad boys as well, aren't they? Lullam on 4, Lapalainen on 5, so it'll be an interesting approach how they battling still, these two Audis. Alex Acker looking down the inside. Could he try and get a gap there on Klimiko? Didn't look like it, but he's got a run, going to get in the slipstream. Actually, that Sandslot car pulling away, so he must be running different wing angles, even different rate can affect the top speeds of his car. But it does look like Alex Acker has a strong car underneath him in the corner. 2 different cars from 2 different teams operating in different windows, it seems.
Heading up towards Sheen Curve. Just going back to Chris Lullam, I'm not sure he is a track limit bad boy per se, but the 4 that car has got, I think we're all, weren't they, from Thierry Vermeulen earlier on. So Lullam is keeping his nose clean. Many of the ones that Lapalainen has inherited came from Ben Green. So Lullam, in fairness, doing his best to stay in touch without adding to the tally. Over the line there, the Sandy Mitchell Lamborghini, the Maxime Ouston BMW go through. Tucked up behind Jeff Machiel's Ferrari that is 11th. Now, Machiel's here is closing on the Porsche of Champiris for the class lead in silver, and 3rd in silver is that BMW. Sandy Mitchell's Lamborghini, the spoiler in the pack in a sense. It's not in that class battle, and the Porsche, 13 minutes to go. Can Pieris hang on in there and keep up the good work of Luc Hartog?
Yeah, yes, different classes, but Sandy Mitchell will not let that BMW through. This is overall positions they're fighting for too, but starting to close up nicely this battle for the Silver Cup as well. Just outside the top 10, that Porsche in 10th position overall, but the class podium, this is what goes towards the championship towards the end of the year. So this is what the teams and drivers will be focused on. That BMW was so close. It was overlapping this Lamborghini at the start of the lap, not able to stay through it. Now looks like Sandy Mitchell is the car with the pace to potentially get round that AF course. Ferrari of Michiel's in front.
Lots of dust kicked up by Pieris there, coming out of Sheen Curve, round wide, not as wide as we saw Ben Green do earlier on, but just enough to trim the lawn, and the dust kicked into the face out of that pack behind. Pieris here is, in fairness, doing a good job, new to the circuit, new to Sprint Cup, and he's done a personal best in the first sector of this lap, so he's pushing as hard as he possibly can.
Yeah, he's never raced outside Asia before, so he's doing really, really well. Look at this lead battle. Gaps now are very tight. 3 tenths, 5 tenths, 2 tenths, 5, 4, 5, 8. So no gap over a second inside the top 8. Has Abrill got the pace to defend? Has Goethe got the desire? Has he got the risk inside him to throw a move down the inside for Garage 59?
Down they come, in towards Hawthorns then. Road climbs slightly, you turn right, short straight along towards Westfield, where again you drop downhill, and Goethe on the lights trying to force a mistake out of Abrill. You've got Lucas Auer onto the back of Mauro Engel, I should say, on the back of Niederhauser. So number 48 Mercedes 7th. It's going to inherit a place with the corrected times once you put the penalty on the Porsche. But Abrill is soaking up the pressure. He's not making mistakes. He is not stretching the margin, but he's doing enough. He's looking after the car, the tyres, and importantly, perhaps more importantly, he is not running wide over the track limits.
Yeah, exactly. Abrill, a cool customer, driven a lot of cars, so he'll be experienced. He's getting faster and faster in this Ferrari now in the factory stable. A nice guy, fast on track, recently married as well, so he'll be going, what pressure. I've had to have the biggest day of my life that his wife will be talking about, but at the moment he's hanging on, isn't he? It just seems like the gap's flowing. Actually there, Lullam looking to the inside. Was that a defense or an attack? His teammate is behind, and inter-team rivalries run strong in GT racing. No team orders whatsoever across any of these teams.
11 minutes and counting then as Vincent Abrill leads on lap 35 here at Brands Hatch, and it's pretty much 8 in a line, isn't it? Louis Pret there going through Surtees, chasing after Engel, chasing after Niederhauser. 5th is Neubauer, 4th is Lapalainen, 3rd is Lullam, 2nd is Goethe. Abrill leads 4 tenths of a second the margin. This is silver, where Champiris is 6 tenths of a second ahead of Jeff Machiels. Even if the Ferrari catches, then Machiels is going to try to find the width of the road to get past through the traffic. You've got Sandy Mitchell involved in that battle as well. Mitchell wants to get past the Ferrari, which he's about to do. He'll clear the Porsche, I think, as well, and that means that silver battle can then continue without a pro car around it.
Yeah, the battle of the green mirrors, Lamborghini, Ferrari. Ferrari gets the inside, keeps position. Can Sandy get back down the inside, cut back to short break zone into Westfield? Thinks better of it, tucks in behind. Is Michael's able to get it onto the apex? He does, keeps it on track 2. Listen to this V10 singing through the tree-lined part of the GP circuit here at Brands Hatch. That Ferrari looking great through the high-speed corners, great aerodynamic balance on it. Then seems like the Lamborghini gets slightly better traction, more dust again. All of these drivers are starting to get it in their eyes. There's filters on the driver cooling systems, but those filters, once they're full of dust, the dust starts to get filed through, and you end up running with your visor down, just trying to protect your retinas from a load of soil.
Race leaders go by in silver then, and because of that battle that Pires is having with Mitchell, that Machiels is having with Mitchell, that plays into the hands of Esch and Pires. Here are the race leaders outright. Now the gap was 6/10 over the stripe, so Goethe fell back slightly. 9 minutes now on the clock as they drop down again towards that right of Hawthorns.
Yeah. Sorry, Lapalainen flashing his headlights on his teammate, and a bit of damage on the front left there. That was the contact on the outlap, wasn't it, for Abril, and that was Ludham trying to get past one of the dive planes moving around, so he will have less front aero grip, a bit more drag as well, so that will hurt the tyre more, so that could be a factor towards the end of the race.
So Ferrari looking strong at the back of this long, long line of cars. 7th on the road, Maro Engel, a little bit stuck in the traffic. There's a good Audi fight going on as well here, as you can see, with Alex Arca chasing after Ivan Klimenko. There is Arca, goes by in 18th place, and they are fighting for 5th in silver.
Yeah, behind this car we're on board with is, we've got Magnus in another Audi, then Jordan Pepper in the fastest car of the race so far. So Pepper about to make it a V10 party, Audi versus Lamborghini in that element. So expect fireworks from Pepper. He's fired up and wants to keep moving forward.
So as the race leaders then are on lap number 37, Alex Arca's view is still of the Ivan Klimenko Santalock Audi ahead of him. Through Clark Curve they come. And Arca totally focused on the back of that car ahead, but it's so hard to get past a car from the same manufacturer. Lead gap stretches again up to 8/10 now. Abril into the last 8 minutes of the race, looking as though he's now done enough, but third is still up for grabs. Ludham versus Lapalainen. Don't forget, different liveries, but they're both out of the same stable. These are the two Emil Frey Racing Ferraris.
2.5 tenths is the gap. There's about a car length in between them. What can Lapalainen do? They will know the strengths and weaknesses of that car, and it's all about pride within the team. Yes, they're going to want to make sure the car's ready for race 2 without damage, but he will want to get that last podium position. Lapalainen will be giving it everything he can.
Lap 37, Abril 8/10 up from Goethe. Ludham running in 3rd place at the start of this lap. Thierry Vermeulen looks on. He led his stint. The car may finish 3rd, may finish 4th, but they've also got their eyes on a Gold Cup win. As long as number 69 Ferrari, there it is ahead of the 8th place McLaren of Louis Pret, which is just out of shot, then they're still going to win their class. So there's the overall battle, but there's the class position to think of as well.
Yeah, he looked pretty deflated though, didn't he? He was leading by 2.5 seconds, and as a racing driver, the arrogance would have thought, I've won this, I can't do anything wrong. And then the gap started to come down. Then the pit stop wasn't as quick. Then he used a lot of the track limits. That's hurt Ludham's stint for sure as well. So I think Vermeulen there looks a bit deflated, which is crazy when you think that car's going to finish 1st in class overall podium in one of the most, if not the most competitive GT championships in the world. As we see the Porsche getting a run on the back of Neubauer, looks to the inside. Not really a move that's going to work, but just trying to distract the back of Neubauer there. Niederhausen has got that 5-second penalty to add at the end of the race, though.
Which kind of counts as a very good pit stop, and it was a slow stop, really, from Emil Frey that did for Vermeulen, a 46.5 second stop against 42.7 for the number 51 Ferrari, so much, much quicker was the AF Corsa pit stop. And getting a replay here of what went on at Westfield a little bit earlier. Mathis Leesmont getting all crossed up in the Corvette, slides out wide, and up the inside goes Baptiste Moulin in the Lamborghini, and as they rise the hill, Moulin's ahead.
I think that was a bit of a bump and run from the Lamborghini. I think he just gave the Corvette a slight nudge on the Corvette's rear right, which unloaded it and then just took the place. And yeah, not the cleanest move, but the move was done, and that's all the driver will really care about.
Number 14 Ferrari, then Conte Lapalainen running 4th up towards Druids. And we've got just over 5 minutes of the race to go. But Vincent Abril taking over from Alessio Rovera We've got a drive-through penalty coming for Jordan Pepper for causing a collision. So 63 Jordan Pepper, he's 20th now on the road, but a drive-through is in the system.
Yeah, we only saw one shot of it, didn't we, on the Aston Martin of Jamie Day at this corner, and I thought it looked like Pepper wasn't alongside it enough for the move to have not attracted a penalty. So, yeah, I mean, luckily for Pepper, he's P20, so he's not going to lose out on any points. But, yeah, I agree with race control on that penalty.
As Vincent Abril continues to hold sway, never has he been able to shake off the traffic. That is sort of halfway through the incident, really. That's what turned around the Aston 21 of Jamie Day, and Jordan Pepper's car gets the drive-through, which may have to be translated into a time penalty at the end of the race.
We've seen the leader getting held up by the Barwell Lamborghini, dives out the way, so should be okay, but that would have been a real scare for Abril there. Goth gets through, but Lullam doesn't. Is that going to hurt Lullam's exit? It does. Lapalainen's going to get a bit of a run potentially here. Luckily for him, it looked like they were both held up equally. Another flash of the headlights from Lapalainen. Is he going to send it down the inside? He definitely has a look. He's going to compromise his line out. Lullam with a slide on the apex. These cars are right on the edge of grip that they're affording their drivers.
Up to Druids they come, and as Lapalainen tries and fails to get by, that brings Neubauer onto his tail, and Niederhauser, 6th, joins the party as well. Chris Lullam, though, is doing a good job of defending, belying his lack of experience in real-world racing. Comes on the Cooper Straight, so with so many cars queued up behind him, would be easy to perhaps make a mistake. He hasn't done it yet. Again, Lapalainen tries to squeeze to the inside. Neubauer waiting for a gap that just does not present itself. 3.5 minutes are on the clock now. Top 5 in each class shown on the graphic. Abril, Goethe, Lapalainen, Neubauer, Niederhauser, the leading 5 in Pro. That's going to change with Niederhauser's penalty. Chris Lullam hanging on to that lead of gold, and it is still Echampieris leading in silver. Not by much, but he's still leading.
Yeah, Pepper serving his penalty for that spicy move, so I think that's going to be the end of their day. Be interested to see what they do for race 2. I just feel Lapalainen in that Emerald Frey Ferrari, the more red car of those first Ferraris, is just looking too much. He's looking to the inside almost 3 or 4 times a lap, and he's compromising his exits. He needs to save it up as we look at the teammate of Lullam there, and just starting to look a bit nervous now, but still I think they're going to be able to hold on. Lullam's pace has been very strong.
Has indeed, and he's been error-free, and again, the more mileage he does, it's his first race in this car, of course, then he is going to get better and better and better. The leaders have gone by with 2 minutes and 40 on the clock as they climb the hill up to Druids once again. And on this lap, Abril looking the stronger. It's been quite a long time since we last had Vincent Abril on the top step of a GT World Challenge podium. This is Charles Witt in the meantime trying to get up alongside Louis Pret. They are arguing over 8th and 9th places. Calvin van der Linde, I should say, not Charles Witt. He took over from Charles in the pit stops. So the South African driver, Calvin van der Linde, again looking to make his move. He's got the pace and he has to try the outside line into Surtees. That's not going to work.
Yeah, Louis Pret on the defence there. South African against Monegas. Who's going to come out on top? The BMW's got strong straight line speed. We know that's how the car generates his lap time. Louis Pret's going to move to the right side to cover that off. Doesn't cover it fully. Van der Linde puts it inside down. Louis Pret gives him a space there. I'm surprised by that. This should be job done now as they break next time into Westfield. Van der Linde gets the job done. Fair driving, but too fair from Louis Pret, in my opinion. He could have closed the door after Van der Linde backed out, looking down the inside of Hawthorne's, but very good move, and that is a brave overtake from that BMW as we go back to this battle that's been raging on between McKeels and Sandy Mitchell. You've also got a look in the background there. The 992 Paradine BMW wants to get in on the mix. This is a silver battle with a pro car of Mitchell involved as well. It's all starting to kick off with 1 minute 20 left.
And it all helps. Echampieris hang on to the advantage. Flashing his lights is Jeff Machiels. He's trying to keep Sandy Mitchell at bay. He wants to get away from that Lamborghini and go after the Porsche. And they are going to come through with potentially 2 more laps to run. It rather depends where the leaders are relative to the clock. There, number 992, Maxime Houston, 13th overall, 3rd in class. So he's heading for a podium as the race leaders then have got less than a minute on the clock. Where are they on the track? They're going into Surtees. So the last lap, this should now be for the leaders. You've got to go back, I reckon, to 2019 to find the last Sprint Cup win for Vincent Abril. That was in a Mercedes with Raffaele Marciello, but right now he leads in a Ferrari and he comes down towards Hawthorne's. The clock has 39 seconds on it as they swing through the right-hander of Hawthorne itself. That's Lullam, 3rd, leading in gold. And Benjamin Goethe's McLaren has done a really good job to stay in that mix, hasn't it? The car started by Marvin Kirchhofer, but 2nd for McLaren. It looks as though it is going to be a Ferrari win then, as now through Sheen Curve comes Vincent Abril. 7/10 of a second up at the start of this lap. The clock has, what, 12 seconds and counting on it. The checkered flag is being made ready, and so Vincent Abril and Alessio Rivera look as though they are going to come through victorious at the end of our first Sprint Cup race of the season in GT World Challenge Europe. The checkered flag is at the ready, and it is going to be a Ferrari win at Brands Hatch. A win for Vincent Abril and Alessio Rivera, who is absolutely delighted with that. Second to Benjamin Goethe and Marvin Kirchhoff. A third, Chris Lallem and Thierry Vermeulen. They also win gold. Constant Lapalainen and Ben Green take fourth. Fifth, Thomas Neubauer and Arthur Leclerc. And sixth, Patrick Niedhauser and Sven Muller on the road. Then you put the penalty on. But how about this? Coming up to the line, it is going to be Lurk Hartog and Eshan Pires to win silver. Brilliant drive by Eshan Pires. Far less experienced than Lurk Hartog. I really expected that car to drop away in the class, but he has done a fantastic job of keeping that in the mix and winning the class.
Yeah, amazing job. It was such a strong start, wasn't it, from Hartog? Gained 6 positions. Emil Frey very happy as well. They've got a very fast car there. Amazingly, that's only the second ever win for Ferrari at Brands Hatch, and second only for AF Course, of course. So, yeah, you can see the 2 AF Course cars there running in formation. Really good job. I think AF did a mega job in the pit stop to get that car over from Rivera to Abril and inherit the lead. Good defensive driving on that car on the outlap from Vince Abril as well. So great race from the top 8, really. We're all in a class of their own.
So Vincent Abril and Alessio Rivera victorious, and understandably very happy.
Fuck, what a way to come back in this championship. Come on, boys. What a pit stop.
Apologies for Vincent Abril's colourful language, but you can see it means a lot to him. He returns to Sprint Cup and takes a win, and the point he makes there about what a pit stop, it was much quicker than the Emil Frey Ferrari that they were able to leapfrog, and with his elbows out on that outlap, able to hang on to the race lead. So it all pieces together. Good stint from a co-driver, good pit work, and you've got to be on the money straight out. You can't have a lap or two just having a think and getting up to speed. You've got to deliver as soon as you leave the pit lane. It's the first time you hit the track all day, but you've got to be bang on the money.
Yeah, imagine you've just woken up in the morning and then you just need to do a degree in physics. Straight into it, no revision, go. Yeah. That's how it feels as a driver. You're just thrown in at the deep end and come on, let's go. Why can't you do it? And yeah, their pit stop nearly 4 seconds quicker than Emil Frey. So great job. You see all the cars getting dust, dirt, marbles, detritus on their tyres. Adds a bit of weight and helps the ride heights.
Let's have a look then at the provisional result with Vincent Abril and Alessio Rivera the winners, from Marvin Kirchhoff and Benjamin Goethe. Thierry Vermeulen and Chris Lallem third, and they win gold. Ben Green and Constant Lapalainen fourth, ahead of Arthur Leclerc, and then Thomas Neubauer. Sixth on corrected time is where you find Lucas Auer and Maro Engel, ahead of Charles Wirtz and Calvin van der Linde. Eighth, Adam Smalley and Louis Pret, and down to ninth with the time penalty, Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser. 10th is where you find the silver winners, Lurk Hartog and Eshan Pires, after a really impressive drive by both, and that car coming home victorious in class from Jeff Machiels and Marcos Siebert, Maxim Oostern and Max Jensen taking third in silver. So delighted Monegasque Vincent Abril takes honours, and he'd been forgotten about to an extent over recent seasons as other drivers were getting the limelight, but he's always been able to deliver, and that win will mean a lot to him, bearing in mind that it's, what, nearly 6 seasons since his last victory. He loves the car, as you can see, and the radio traffic was also indicating just what that means, and he's never lost his ability, even if he's not had the headlines.
Yeah, raced against Vince quite a lot actually in another GT Championship. Always got on very well with him, always knew how fast he was, and when you would see the qualifying order, if he was in the same quali, you'd always be worried. And yeah, super nice guy, deserves this. We were together at JP Motorsport as well in a McLaren a few years back at Paul Ricard GT World Challenge. So yeah, it's nice when one of the good guys wins, that's for sure.
Thierry Vermeulen with Chris Lallem, not looking elated, class winner, but that's kind of forgotten about given that the overall lead dissipated, but a class win and a podium nonetheless. He's very impressive, and well done Chris Lallem in his second ever GT3 race at this level. Vincent Abril then, helmet off, he's got his back to you. A delighted Alessio Rivera with him as the Pirelli winners' caps are presented, and we'll hear from those drivers in a few moments' time. There is of course a second race to come this afternoon, and 3:45 that is due off the grid. But let's hear from Alessio Rivera and Vincent Abril. They're our first Sprint Cup winners of 2025.
Well, gentlemen, that was a fantastic result for you. Pit stops are important, aren't they, in this form of racing?
They're everything. I mean, our guys did an amazing job in the pits. That's what we did in the winter. We knew we were coming in this tough championship. It's been a while I haven't been there, so to come back officially for the full time with Alessio, it's just a pleasure, man. And what can I say about AF and Ferrari? What a day.
And a great performance from yourself as well in the first stint.
Yeah, as you said yesterday, the most important thing was the pit stop. Get it right in the right moment. The guys did an amazing job. As in the driver chain was perfect. So, as Vincent said, we practiced quite a lot and paid off. So we are happy.
Overall winners for the first race of the season. A great way to start the campaign. Well done.
All smiles, Alessio Rivera and Vincent Abril. The winning margin, 0.658 of a second. Vincent Abril doing just enough. He did pick up one more track limit warning before the end, but even so, the race win is what he treasures the most, and an excellent job done by both drivers and by the mechanics in that pit stop to catapult the car from third into the race lead.
Yeah, and that's Rivera's first GT sprint race, so he's won on his debut. That's not happened since Neubauer in 2019, so that's an amazing effort from him.
First things first, congratulations, the start of the season, the way you want it to go, the gold victory. But P3 overall, that was a really, really impressive performance.
Yeah, I think team did a good job with the car. I mean, qualifying, of course, is the bigger part here. Well, the goal was to pull a gap in the first stint, that's what we did. But yeah, we have to analyze, because Chris also did an amazing job, but we lost everything in the middle during the pit stop, and you know, this cannot be a common theme for the season. When you have the car and when the drivers do a good job, you want to win the race. And so happy, of course, with the gold points, but we are here to win overall and not to win gold.
Happy but frustrated for yourself, Chris. I mean, the first time you've raced around here, not in a radical, and the full GP loop as well, and you had your work cut out over your shoulder at the end, half a second.
Yeah. I mean, I came out straight into the thick of it. A bit of a tight battle into turn 2, and in the end, I couldn't defend from the McLaren and put an attack on the Ferrari at the same time, and I lost out, but I was able to hold P3 on the limit of the track limit warnings, but no, it was all good to the end.
Saw a lot of track limits, that well done both.
Thank you.
Gold Cup winners third overall, but the thought of what might have been, perhaps, certainly from Thierry Vermeulen. But Chris Lallam will only get stronger. We're not suggesting for a moment that that is his ultimate pace, and the more mileage he does, the better he will get, no question about it. So that is your gold victors, and as far as silver is concerned, it's a Porsche win. Eshan Piris and Luc Hartog victorious there. Both of them, in fairness, doing really impressive stints. And there with Bryn Lucas then in the pit lane.
A very nice trophy with a number 1 on there for the silver winners. Start with yourself, because what a great performance that was. Look, that was amazing that you handed over in such a good position.
Yeah, I didn't know that Brands Hatch had so much space to overtake. I mean, the first couple of corners, I just went in every gap I saw, and then from that moment on, I could consolidate. That was very nice. And then really between the pros, they cranked up the pace, and I could keep up. That was very nice. Drive it all the way to perfection. Second fastest pit stop in the race as well, due to this guy. And then he brought it home, so I'm very happy.
P10 overall, which is a great story in itself, but the first time you've raced in the UK, should do more one-offs across the world, I'd say.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to say, though, before anything, this guy kept me on my toes the entire first stint. And literally, by the time I got into the car, I was like, just had one job to do. The team was also super supportive. They've given us a fantastic machine to compete with in this championship. And I'm really looking forward to more success with Luke and in this championship and with Rutronic as well, yeah.
Target on your back, though, for the next race. Well done.
Thank you.
But it was a very impressive drive by Eshan Piris, and this is one of the delights of finding all these newcomers. You sort of kind of pigeonhole people off their experience, off their background, but then when you see them in action and they deliver a drive like that, you think, okay, there's another star here.
Yeah, and that's the whole ladder of motorsport, isn't it? It's how you discover new talent, and it's not just drivers, it's all the way up and down the pit lane too.
So, a really interesting first race, a jumbled grid for the second, and more action to come later in the day. Race 1 for GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup began with pole sitter Thierry Vermeulen storming into the lead on the run towards Paddock Hill Bend. A good start by Lucas Auer, but then he rather got shuffled back in the pack going through Druids. It was Marvin Kirchhoff as McLaren that was able to get itself up into second place as the Ferrari hordes flooded past Auer's Mercedes. Yusuf Ovega got into the back of the Jamie Day Aston Martin up at Druids. as very wide indeed. In the first stint went Ben Green, kicking up the dirt into the face of Arthur Leclerc behind him, but he didn't really compromise the pace too much. The Emile Frey pit stop for the leading car was not as quick as it needed to be, and it meant that after the pit stops, number 51 Ferrari, Vincent Abril at the wheel, took over the race lead straight away. He had to go defensive and he got crowded onto the grass. Chris Lullam in second spot as they headed up the hill towards Druids, and not only was Lullam on the grass, but he left the door open therefore for Benjamin Goethe to come around the outside and move up into second place. And from that, Chris Lullam, although he tried hard, he was never able to recover the lost ground. Alex Arca was busy in the Silver Cup, getting a little bit physical with number 25 Audi, Gilles Magnus, and that roughed up the French driver onto the grass on the outside of the corner. As, in the meantime, we had a time penalty given to Patrick Niederhauser's Porsche, and Vincent Abril just measured the gap perfectly to come through victorious in our first Sprint Cup race of the season. Honours in race 1 of the year to Alessio Rovera and Vincent Abril. So the AF Corsa team standing beneath the podium, ready to cheer its drivers to the echo. You have in Pro, AF Corsa, in Gold, Emile Frey Racing, and in Silver, now a AF Corsa win. Esham Pieris has been given a penalty and has dropped to 4th in class off the podium. That was another car, I think, which had a pit lane speeding offence. So the silver victors that we've just heard from are not the winners after all. They are going to be 4th in class behind Cesar Gazo and Aurelian Panis. It's a silver win for Jeff Machiels and Marcos Siebert in the end.
Not to defend the drivers, but that's both Rutonic Porsches, isn't it? Is that actually a team issue?
Yeah.
They set the pit lane limiter slightly too keen, and that's the issue there. Interesting, both cars with penalties.
Could well be, as out onto the podium come Chris Lullam and Thierry Vermeulen, then Benjamin Goethe and Marvin Kirchhofer. There will be representation of the AF Corsa as the winning team, and then the race winners. Vincent Abril and Alessio Rovera step forward, delighted here, winners of our first Sprint Cup race of the season. Vincent Abril letting the enormity of that soak in. It's been quite a barren period between wins in GT World Challenge. That one is very special. So very happy AF Corsa team, very happy drivers, no question about it. And a second Ferrari win in Sprint Challenge. Jonathan Palmer, as the chief executive of the Motorsport Vision Group, comes forward with the trophies to Thierry Vermeulen, to Chris Lullam, first of all. And the Emile Frey Racing team engineer good cars, but if there's one little flaw, it is those pit stops. That's where they lost 3-4 seconds to some of the others. Benjamin Goethe, Marvin Kirchhofer then take the trophies for second place, and then the winners' trophies will go to the Ferrari drivers from AF Corsa after the team's trophy goes to Amato Ferrari's team. And applause from the drivers for the team. The mechanics down on the pit lane celebrate as well. But Vincent Abril and Alessio Rovera winning in the end by 0.6 of a second. The winners' trophies presented, and two very happy Ferrari drivers on the top step here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, and it's those guys in pit lane that really won the race. There's red suits on the top set of the podium, but the guys stood in pit lane for me made a difference there, and Emile Frey will need to go back to the drawing board. I also think Garage 59 should have left Kirchhofer out another lap or two. He could have had free air, and could have they been on the top step. So 3 different subplots for the podium. You can see which teams have 2 sets of drivers' suits and which don't there. There's the Garage 59 drivers walk off, not in disgust, but just trying to keep their suits clean for this afternoon's race, which I'm very excited about because the qualifying was in a completely different order, it feels like, and we have that Winwood Mercedes of Engel on pole. That car finished 6th in the end, but we saw it fade, so I think we're going to see a completely different race 2 this afternoon. That race starting 3:45 local time.
So in terms of the overall points, it is the race order. It is Abril and Rovera then ahead by 4.5 from Goethe and Kirchhofer, Vermeulen and Lullam. Another 1.5 back in third, and they of course will be ahead in gold with pole positions yesterday earned as well. It is a 5-second time penalty to the 97 Rutonic Porsche, hence it falls down the order. But for Vincent Abril and Alessio Rivera, dream start to the campaign. Ferraris have looked strong all weekend, and it's going to be fascinating to see what pans out in race 2, when the driver that's just finished that race is the start driver.
Yeah, it's a completely different order, like I said, in qualifying. 2 separate races. Yes, there'll be a similar theme, but I don't think the order is going to be anywhere near the same as that race 1 result we've just seen.
No, indeed, as the silver and gold podiums are still to go. And in gold, for 3rd place, we've had Sebastian Urgaard and Leonardo Moncini onto the podium. For 2nd place, Louis Pret and Adam Smalley. And then the gold winners, again, they know exactly where they're going. So the Emil Frey team for Chris Lulham, Thierry Vermeulen, 3rd overall, the gold win. And the smile for that, somewhat broader than the smile for 3rd place. But the Emil Frey team will hone those pit stops, no doubt. And Thierry Vermeulen and Chris Lulham, our first Gold Cup victors of 2025 in Sprint Cup. So congratulations to Thierry Vermeulen and Chris Lulham. Not just a class win, but also that 3rd place overall, an impressive job done. Steve Rouse from Pirelli has the trophies, and he steps forward to go for the Tresor Attempto drivers, Leonardo Moncini and Sebastian Urgaard. Then the trophies go the way of Adam Smalley, Louis Pret for 2nd, and then to the winners, to Thierry Vermeulen and Chris Lulham as the category victors. So a really interesting first race at Brands Hatch for GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup, and there is more to come later in the day, with the 2nd race due to blast off the grid at 3:45, and from a different looking grid. That promises to be another really spectacular race around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. So as the Gold Cup drivers leave the podium, we will have the silver podium to come. The gold standings, of course, the same order as the race result for now, this first race of the season. So Chris Lulham and Thierry Vermeulen will be ahead in the Gold Cup, and benefiting as well from the pole positions of yesterday. Louis Pret, Adam Smalley behind Sebastian Urgaard, Leonardo Moncini next in the championship from Gilles Magnus and Paul Everard. Then you've got Jens Klingman and Alfaisal Al-Zubar from Arthur Rougier, and James Kell rounding out the top 6 combinations in the Gold Cup. Let's see whether that is a margin that stretches or is narrowed after race 2, with Louis Pret and Adam Smalley sure to come out fighting, having now seen the pace of Chris Lulham and Thierry Vermeulen. Bear in mind that Thierry and Chris drive for a different team and a different brand in endurance. 2C's Aston Martin there, but here it's the Emil Frey run Ferrari, and a job well done in that first race of the season. So one more podium, that's being made ready for the silver graded drivers, and a class win was on the road taken by Eshan Piris and Luke Hartog, but of course that now changes with that penalty, so it becomes Jeff Machiels and Marcos Siebert who are the category winners. And there is the winning car, number 52 Ferrari, that inherits that victory, as I was saying, with the 5-second penalty given to number 97 Porsche. So Jeff Machiels and Marcos Siebert inherit the win. And that car for AF Corsa completing a very successful day, a class win for 51, a class win for 52 as well. So with the penalty being applied, now the organisers trying to make sure they've got all the right drivers. I think everybody that they need is present and correct. For 3rd in the class, Aurelien Panis and Cesar Gauzot. For 2nd, there you can see Max Janssen and Maxime Oesten. And then the top step will go the way of a perhaps rather surprise Marcos Siebert and Jeff Machiels. Marcos Siebert, another of the newcomers to GT World Challenge Sprint Cup. So a very, very good way to start off in GT racing with a class win. And the national anthem plays, although on track, classic sports cars rather drown out the sound of the Italian national anthem of AF Corsa. But Marcos Siebert and Jeff Machiels are victorious here at Brands Hatch. So all smiles on the podium. Pirelli winners' caps adorn the heads. And in a moment, Steve Rouse from Pirelli, I think, will be brought forward once again for the presentations. There are the trophies and the Boots and VDS team at the far end of the podium. Steve Rouse, Pirelli's GT3 chief engineer. Pirelli, of course, suppliers of the tyres for Sprint Cup, for endurance, and also here this weekend, the McLaren Trophy races. For Maxime Houston and Max Janssen and the British Paradigm competition team. Darren Lund's squad, the second place trophies. It's a class win for AF Corsa, and the drivers' trophy is about to go to Marcos Siebert and to Jeff Machiels, who may be a tad surprised that it's a class win. They came across the line second, but very happy with the trophies, with the circuit map standing proud, and a happy podium now. There'll be some rather longer faces at Rutronic with both Porsches picking up time penalties. So our silver drivers make their way off the podium, and battle will continue later in the day. Again, the silver points standings, effectively the race order. So it will be Marcos Siebert and Jeff Machiels ahead from Maxime Houston and Max Janssen, and third will be Cesar Gazo and Aurelien Panis. And Luc Hartog and Isham Peris fourth with that penalty, ahead of Ivan Klimenko and Laurens de Cretua, Gilles Stadsbader and Gustav Bergström, then sixth in the class. So Jeff Machiels and Marcos Siebert leave the podium at the end of race one as our Silver Cup leaders, and they will look to try and increase that advantage a little later on in the day when we get to race two here at Brands Hatch. And this, as far as the Manufacturer Cup is concerned, now puts Mercedes AMG 23 points ahead of BMW M. Porsche a third from Ferrari, and then Audi in fifth place. So we have the teams now with a little bit of data to look at before race two. Blasts off at 3:45 this afternoon. We look forward to more action later in the day. See you then.